Hi, my friends, it's Meredith with Soul Navigation, and I'm so excited to start this series, Learning Astrology with me, right now. So today we're going to start with the basics, and what I want you to do, I hope you already did this, but either go on my website at soulnavigation.com and get your natal chart. It's gorgeous, it's easy to read. We're going to use one today so you can see for yourself, or go anywhere online and grab a free one that you can work with. I like working with mine because I tell you lots and lots of secrets, and I make it so beautiful and so gorgeous and so easy for you to read and figure out. But we're going to use your astrology chart. I'm going to teach you today the top 3 things you need to do in order to start reading your natal chart. And I'm going to take you through this series and teach you how to dive in deep to your chart and all of the components that there are. It's infinite. I mean, you can learn this for 8 years. It took me 8 years to really become profound and fluent in the language of astrology. So we're going to dive in together, and I hope so much that I can make complex ideas really simple for you. So the thing that I most want you to do is, I hope that you've already learned what the different signs mean and what the different planets mean. So you know a little tiny bit, and hopefully you've done enough research where you know what Aries and Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces means. There's 12 signs. Now, there's actually 10 planets and 2 luminaries, the sun and the moon, but we just call them planets. And there's also the nodes. And I'm an evolutionary astrologer. If you don't already know me, my name is Meredith with Soul Navigation, and I'm going to be teaching you evolutionary astrology. I'm not a Vedic astrologer. I'm not an Eastern astrologer. I've dabbled in Eastern Chinese astrology, and I know enough to be dangerous, but I don't know Vedic astrology at all. And I study Western astrology, and you can say astrology, right? Western astrology. And then inside of that, I study evolutionary astrology, which means I believe the nodal axis is critical and crucial, maybe one of the most important things to understand the entirety of the meaning of your life. That's what an evolutionary astrologer. I also want you to take time to learn what the planets mean. Moon, Mercury, Mars, Sun, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, Uranus, and the North and the South Node. You can find so much information online, but I do recommend getting a very basic book. The book that I like, or that I started to learn with so long ago, is The Only Astrology Book You'll Ever Need. This is really helpful. It's super basic. It's super simple. And hopefully I will be writing a book that's even better than this soon when I get some free time. That's my next goal. So hopefully you'll be able to follow along with the book that I do want to publish. What do I want to tell you? I think I want to take you over to a chart. And I've decided to look at Leonardo da Vinci's chart. Why? We all love him. He's so profoundly famous. Everybody knows him. And he is just such a brilliant inventor. So let's take a little peek at his chart. And I'm going to walk you through the 3 things you need to do in order to first learn how to read your chart. So get out your chart. And if you don't have one, go buy one at soulnavigation.com or get one off the internet and study with me, okay? Okay, so now you can kind of see what my astrology charts look like. And the reason why I really promote buying my chart is because you don't even have to read the circle in order to understand what you're looking at. So the first thing I want you to look at is right here, this box. And this box might be somewhere different on your chart, even if you bought it from me, because I formatted them a little bit differently. But you can see that Leonardo has the sun in Aries in the 5th house. You can see that he also has the moon in Scorpio in the 12th house. It's on the ascendant right here, but and it's at 26 degrees. So, but it's still in the 12th. Some people would say this is, they would consider this also on the ascendant, and some people might even ask, is this in the 1st house? This is in the 12th house, but it is on the ascendant. So we're going to talk about this, but I just want to keep going. You can see that he has Mercury in Aries in the 4th. You can see that he has Venus in Taurus in the 6th. Okay, you can see that he has Mars in Aquarius in the 2nd, Jupiter in Pisces in the 3rd, and on and on. So you can know your placement. So when I ask you in my other videos, where is your Venus? You can look at Venus in Taurus in the 6th. How to read the chart. This is like just super basic today. And next week, we're going to go in a little bit deeper, but just stick with me. So where is your sun? What house is your sun in? Where is your moon? Leave me a comment below. Let me know. So the next thing I want you to know is if you need to memorize or you want to know how to read the circle, you are going to read the planet symbols here. This is the symbol for the sun. This is the symbol for the moon. This is the symbol for Mercury. It looks like a little Martian. It's right here in the 4th house. You can see the symbol for Venus. It's right here. You can see the symbol for Mars, so you can go and hunt for your Mars, right? Okay, so this shows you the planetary symbols. This shows you, these over here are the zodiac signs and the different glyphs. And I want you to spend a little bit of time memorizing them. So you can see Aries here. So this is what the sign Aries looks like. This is what the glyph sun looks like. We know that he has a sun in Aries in the 5th house. So we can see this is the glyph for the sun. We can see this is the glyph for Aries. And we can see this is the 5th house. That takes me to the houses. First of all, what is this even a picture of? The circle is the picture of the sky at the moment you were born from the perspective of the town or the city or the precise place that you were born in. So if you were born in Venice, Italy, at 6 a.m., where would the sun be? Where would the moon be? Where was Mars in the sky? We take a snapshot of that, and that is your birth chart. From the perspective of putting Venice, Italy in the center of the solar system. Even though we know that's not true, we're doing that because that chart is taken from your perspective at the moment you take your first breath. A lot of people ask me, is it when the baby is fully out? Is it when the baby cries? Is it when they see the head? If it's a C-section, it is when you hold your baby. No, it is when the whole body is out and you see the toes. That's what I say. This is a picture of all of the planets, and you can see their glyphs over here, all of the planets. And we have his town, Anciano. I was actually there. I don't know if I said it right, but I hope so. My Italian subscribers, tell me if I said it right. We would put Italy as the center of the universe, and if he looked up into the sky and if he could see all the planets, what would he see? So the thing that I want to teach you today is take everything off the chart except the sun and the moon. Okay, let's do that. Okay, now here we are. Now, why did I want to do that? Because the sun and the moon and the rising sign are the first primary things that I really want you to understand about yourself. A lot of people call the sun the self, right? The ego. I call the sun the soul. It literally translates that way anyways. So I call it the soul, the essence of you. So if I didn't have this body, and I only had what lived inside of me, what would the essence of me be? You're going to find that answer in the sun sign. Now, the deepest part of myself, sort of the emotional makeup of my soul, is my moon, and they go together. And then what I literally physically look like, and the way that I interact with you and talk to you and show up, and your perception of me and how I've dressed and how I lend you myself as for a first impression, how I literally show up is my rising sign. And that's the mask that I wear. And that is not my soul. You are not your rising sign. It is literally the facade that you wear, how you say hello, and how you are physically shaped, and how you dress, and how you say hello. The ascendant is your front door, but it does make the first impression, and your sun sign doesn't. Your moon sign is going to be the thing, the part of you that you show after you get past my rising sign, my mask, through my sun sign, the essence of me, and into the deepest, darkest chambers of the emotional aspect of myself. Don't worry about the houses yet. I just want you to see that he has a sun in Aries, and he has a moon in Scorpio, and he also is Scorpio rising. Now, we don't know his birth time. It was undocumented, but a lot of historians have gone with around a 940 birth time. There are other birth times out there for him too, so I don't know if this is accurate. So I'm only using this as an example. I'm not using this for like precise historical accuracy, okay? I'm just using this as an example to show you how to read a chart. So forgive me if I have the birth time wrong. And if you think you know his birth time, I mean, that is more accurate than this, please do write it in the comments and let me know. And please do write in the comments, where's your sun and where's your moon? So the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to see that you have a sun in Aries. The second thing you're going to do is see where your moon is. Write those two things down. The moon is in Scorpio, and then you're going to write down your ascendant. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to understand what elements your sun and your moon sign are in. So we know that Aries is one of the fire signs. Does anybody know the fire signs? I know you do. It's Aries, right? What's the next one? Leo. And then Sagittarius. We also know that Scorpio is one of the water signs. And the water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, right? Okay. And his rising sign is also water. Now, one of the reasons why I also like my chart is I tell you about your elements in this box right here. So Leonardo has three fire signs, 1 earth sign, 3 air signs, and 3 water signs. Pretty balanced out, actually. And we also talked about this in my previous video. I'll put a link up here where I did talk a lot about the elements. So, and I want you to watch that. He's got 5, that's 50% of his chart is in cardinal. 40% or 4 planets is in fixed signs, and 1 is in mutable. So those are important elements, and we'll get into those later in my next series. But today I want to show you the first 3 steps that you need to take in understanding the layers of your birth chart and how to read it. So we know that we've got an Aries and a double Scorpio. Now, the next thing we do and we know that we've got fire and water. The next thing that we do is I want you to look at the houses. This is like a big fat pizza. What's in here is the aspect lines. So we can see that this is an aspect to one another. It means these 2 planets are, in fact, in alignment in a way that are communicating with one another. We won't worry too much about the aspects right now because we're going to get into the aspects in my future series. Also, I want to tell you that if you want to go on my Soul Navigation website, click on the shop and grab the starter package. The starter package is really going to help you with doing a deep, deep, deep exploration. Sometimes it's up to 60 pages long. It's between 30 and 60 pages depending on your aspects, but it's going to teach you every single aspect of your chart. It is so in-depth, and in the starter package, you also get this gorgeous natal chart. So these are the houses, okay? And the houses, it's a big fat pizza. You don't have to worry about the inner circle. It starts right here. This is the first house. This is the second house. You can see the third house, the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 houses, and they all mean something different. And I would love for you to go watch my video, The Sun Through the Houses, because I tell you about the meaning of every single house. It's so in-depth. And I have part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is the houses, the sun through the houses 1 through 6. And part 2 is the houses 7 through 12. Please, please, please go watch that video. That's going to help you tremendously. You can scroll to the part that's just your house if you want. Good to kind of know about all the houses, though, in case you have planets in those houses. You'll get a vibe and a feeling for what those houses mean. So we can see that his first house is what? This sign, And this sign, let's go over here, dun, 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 Sagittarius. We can see his second house has actually 2 different signs. It has this sign and a little bit of this sign. What are those? Well, there it is, Capricorn and Aquarius. What about the third house? It has almost 50-50 combination blend of these 2 signs. What is that? Aquarius and bingo, Pisces, right? The fourth house is a combination of Pisces and Aries. His fifth house is a combination of Aries and Taurus. The sixth house is just Taurus. Do you see how I'm looking at the sixth house right here? And it is only green in Taurus. That's why I like these charts too. I color code them in a way that is very helpful. So the seventh house is almost all Gemini with just a little touch here of Cancer. The eighth house is Cancer and a little bit of Leo. The ninth house is Leo and Virgo. Are you guys with me? The 10th house is Virgo and Libra. And the 11th house is Libra and Scorpio. And the 12th house is Scorpio, just Scorpio. So here's what's interesting about these charts. I made it kind of easy to read because the red is all the fire signs. The green on the outside is all the earth signs. The yellow is the air signs. And the blue purplish is the water signs. So you can see at a glance, you know, what houses and what elements are busy or are full. Again, when you look at your chart, you have to unravel it piece by piece by piece. And I think why people get so overwhelmed is there's too many things in a chart. Sometimes I like to draw a second chart and just put the planets and draw it out and just put the planets that I'm looking at in that chart to work with them. So with this chart, you would study what the sun in the fifth house means, and you'd go watch that video that I did, and it would be Sun Through the Houses Part 1, and then you'd scroll in that video to the fifth house and listen to that, and then you would think about what does the sun in Aries mean. The first thing that I can tell you is that Aries loves being in the fifth house. And let me give you a little trick. Okay, here's my little trick. The first house is naturally ruled by Aries. The second house has a natural flavoring, a natural energy of Taurus. The third house, Gemini. The fourth house, Cancer. You can see it over here. The fifth house is naturally ruled by Leo. The sixth house is naturally ruled by Virgo. The seventh, naturally ruled by Libra. The eighth is Scorpio's natural house. The ninth is Sagittarius's natural house. The 10th is Capricorn's natural house. The 11th is Aquarius's natural house. And the 12th house is Pisces natural house. So you have to take the 5th house right here. And we know that the 5th house is naturally ruled by Leo, and think about Aries. So you know that Aries is a fire sign, and you also know that Leo is a fire sign, and you know Sagittarius is a fire sign. So does Aries like being in the 5th house? Absolutely. It's a fire sign house. Does Aries like being in the 9th house? Absolutely. It's a fire sign house. So fire signs like being in other fire houses. Doesn't matter. They also like being in their own house. They like that the best. So Aries' favorite place is the 1st house. But if it can't be in the 1st house, 2nd and 3rd is Sagittarius and Leo in no order. So does Scorpio like being in the 12th house? What is the natural ruler of the 12th house? Anybody who got it, put a comment down below and tell me, Meredith, I so get it. I answered the question because it's dun, dun, dun. Come on, friends, don't disappoint me. Pisces. And what is Pisces? And what is Scorpio? What do they have in common? They are water signs. You said it, right? So does Scorpio like being in the 12th house? Yes. Loves it. What's the other house Scorpio is going to love being in? Well, its own house. Do you remember which house that is? The 8th house. Also the 4th house. Let's go back and look. Remember the natural zodiacal wheel. I'm going to put it up here again because you have to memorize this, and you can screenshot it. You can just do 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10, 11, 12. Just write that down. Just write that down on your piece of paper. And so you can know that Aries rules naturally the 1st house. So it loves being there. And Taurus loves the 2nd house, as we said. So his sun and his moon, we can gather, are in very, very, very comfortable places. They thrive. His sun thrives and his moon thrives. Now, we also know that fire and water don't really get along. What happens to fire when water is put on it? It goes out. So they don't really get along. They are in a stressful aspect to one another. So his heart, his moon, and his sun, his essence or his soul, his heart and soul are not in alignment. And he had a lot of friction in his life. And I believe that it's through friction and it's through stress that we create our greatest selves. And this was one of the greatest human beings to ever walk the planet. What's interesting about this tension is we get it in a double dose. This is the second thing I really want to teach you. So the first is I wanted to show you how to read your sun and moon placement. It's critical for you to know. You need to know the sign and the house. If you have your birth time, you can only know the house if you know your birth time. The second thing I want you to know is the value and the importance of your rising sign. If your rising sign is not in a compatible placement with your sun sign, you are going to struggle a little bit, because what's going to happen, and that is the case here, because you know that, let's do a quick review. You know that when you have elements that are compatible, you know that there's an ease. And when you don't have compatible elements, you know that there is tension. So Aries being a fire sign and Scorpio being a water sign are not compatible. But I believe this man created his greatness from the stress in his life, and he had a very stressful life. Very painful, very stressful. It's kind of why I believe Scorpio is rising. So the second thing that I want you to look at is the importance of the rising sign. The rising sign is the first impression. It's the thing that goes out in front. It is not your soul and it is not your heart. In his case, it happens to also be his heart. But in most cases, it is operating kind of alone. If you have a planet there, that planet needs to be enmeshed into the persona. So his heart, his passion is enmeshed into his persona or his facade, his hello. He leads with his heart because the moon is sitting right on his rising sign. This is his rising sign right here. This is his rising sign. This line, where that is in your chart, okay, is the rising sign. This number and this sign correlates to your rising sign. Today, we're not going to do degrees, but I'm going to save that for my Astrology 101 series down the road, just a little bit. So we're going to go with Scorpio rising with this line. So Scorpio is his mask. It is how he is going to go get his mission accomplished. So his soul over here in Aries says, rising sign, go out there in the world, put it out there. Be the networker, create the first impression, and bring back to me that which I crave and want. As a fifth house Aries sun, he sends Scorpio with the moon on it to go out there in the world and bring back to the soul of himself what Aries in the fifth house of Leo wants. Do you think that Scorpio rising, Scorpio ascendant can do the bidding of an Aries Leo very well? That's an honest question. And it's a trick question. And it's why I picked this chart. This chart is advanced. And I wanted to do a simple understanding on how to read this chart, but I want to give my advanced learners also kind of a run for their money or a challenge. Aries and Scorpio are both ruled by Mars. Scorpio gets Pluto, Aries only gets Mars. And we'll talk about rulers down the road. They both are Mars. Scorpio is inward and Aries is outward. So can Scorpio do Aries bidding? In a whole different way than Aries can. It is a go-getter. It is ferocious. It won't quit until it wins. It is highly competitive, just like Aries. And it is tenacious and voracious, and it is indefatigable. That means it does not tire. It is rabid. It is, when it wants something, it has a determination that is so steely, it will kill to win at times. Not always, but it can. It's like a hunter. So it's very similar to Aries, except that is all very inward. And it's because the ruling planet is Mars. Now that's for my advanced students. Let's go back to this. And I would love for you, and if you get that book that I talked to you about, to start studying the chart, the rulers, the planetary rulers of each sign. But the truth of the matter is you can just happen to know that Scorpio is water and Aries is fire. And Scorpio doesn't really know how to do the fifth house. That's Leo's natural house. And it doesn't really know how to do Aries. So this man is going to bring back to Aries a whatever Scorpio rising, God help him, can find. So he's going to attract scorpionic energy because his hello is going to be very scorpionic and it's going to be very deep because the moon is there as well. And he is going to have encounters that are scorpionic. So I think he's probably stoic or hard to reach, where his soul is just bursting out in the fifth house of deep creative self-expression. Just imagine his level and his capacity to create the fifth house, to perform, the great actor, right? And put it with rocket-fueled Aries energy that is loud and bombastic and direct, and then tell Scorpio to go out there in the world and deliver back to it life that is fulfilling for Aries in the fifth house. You see the problem, right? I want to give you an analogy. I want you to think about it like this. Your soul is an orange. and I put tinfoil all around it. And then I hold it up to you and I ask you, what is this? And you say, it's a tinfoil ball. You can't see that there's an orange inside of it. That orange is Aries. That tinfoil is Scorpio. The world is relating to and experiencing that mass as a Scorpio because that's what it sees. It doesn't see the Aries, but the Aries is running the show. So with Leonardo, he had to bridge the gap somehow. He had to make friends with his body, his persona, and he probably wondered why he attracts so much Scorpio energy when his Aries soul isn't craving that. So there's deep conflict with his heart and his soul. So I want you to understand this rising sign and how it either conflicts or lives in simpatico with your sun sign. And I want to know if you feel it. Do you feel the conflict? Do you feel like, gosh, why do I always attract XYZ when I really just want ABC? Or do you feel like life comes kind of easily for you? Like what I think about, I can manifest easily, or I attract to myself easily. You probably have a sun rising sign incompatibility. Okay, the last thing I want you to know about is this. Really helpful when your sun and your rising sign get along. But it's also really lovely when your sun and moon get along. Now, if they don't, like Leonardo, his sun and his rising sign do not get along, and his sun and his moon do not necessarily get along. Now, when I say get along, I just mean naturally mesh together, right? You kind of have to, they have to learn how to dance together. They have to learn how to work together because one is highly extroverted and the other two, the Scorpio parts, are very introverted. And the Aries is masculine energy and the Scorpio is feminine energy. So you look at your moon, I want you to see if your moon is in harmony with your ascendant, which it is here, or is your moon in harmony with your sun sign. And you're going to know that by the element, and you're going to know that by the sign, and you're going to know that by the houses. When the houses are fire houses, they like each other. When the houses are water houses, they like each other. When the houses are earth houses, they like each other. And when the houses are air houses, they like each other. So, you know, the earth and water houses like each other, and the fire and air houses like each other. So when you have those combinations, that's helpful. That feels good. So if you have your moon in the first house, which is Aries natural house, it doesn't matter what you have there, because I'm talking about the natural house, and you have your sun in the fifth house, they like each other by houses. What I want to say to you is I want you to see and understand the compatibility between your sun in the ascendant and now your moon in the ascendant. And that's the third most important thing to know. So does your heart sit in alignment with the face that you show the world? Or does it hide and not? Does your sun sign sit in harmony with the face that you show the world? And are you a triple threat? Does your sun, your moon, and your rising sign all sit well with each other? Are they all one element, or are they compatible elements? Are they all fire and air? Or are they all earth and water? Or are they all fire? Are they all earth? Are they all air? Or are they all water? If they are, this is pretty easy energy for you to show up in the world authentically being you. Now, let's say they're not. Let's say they're all incompatible, okay? Let's say nothing really gets along, or nothing's really in harmony, or your houses are off, or, you know, the houses are not compatible, or the signs are not compatible. That's okay. You're going to build your life out of contrasts, not out of similarities. So it's going to be something like opposites attract, or I build my life through problem solving, or I am conscientious of the differences in life, and I'm going to do my life differently than most. So you're a contrast learner, and you probably will find tremendous success in life, but you're going to find tremendous success by digging for gold within yourself and by pursuing studies like this that show you yourself to you in greater depth and understanding. Here's what I want to say to you. What value, what benefit do I see in astrology? It is a tool for compassion for self and others. So I have a child whose chart is nothing like mine, absolutely nothing like mine. There's a few things alike. There's so many oppositions. It has developed in me the ability to grow great compassion for what it is she needs. And so I try to parent her. I'm not always successful, but I try very, very hard. And I think I'm a much better parent because I studied astrology, and I can parent her in her theme song, not in mine. But I have to step outside of myself, and I have to look at where her sun is and where her moon is. And they're in quite more prominent, introverted, and deeper placements than mine. And so I have to really think about that. So I invite you to work with the sun, moon, and rising, and the houses, and the elements. This is your lesson 101 with your chart and with the loves chart. Someone that you love. And just start there. If you bite off more than that, you're never going to learn it, because it's just going to look like a crazy wheel with a lot of symbols, and you're never going to get it. But this should be a starting place. And if you have a question, please write your question in the comment section below. And I promise I will try my best to answer it. I'm not perfect. I'm super busy, but I will try to answer your questions if I can. Also, if you want to enter my next contest for a starter package, you'll get your deep natal report. And if you've already gotten yours, because you're a super supporter, you can just enter the contest and you can make the chart up for anybody in the whole wide world that you want. Also, if you want to continue studying deeper, I'm going to continue this lesson and go even deeper for my super supporters. Come be a super supporter. And what I do is I take each one of these lessons and I go in a lot deeper. So you'll just learn so much. And then I tell you secret stories about my own life as an astrologer and my own experience. So I really do hope you will come join us over there. It's a blast. I do live feeds with deeper opportunity to ask questions. So you'll be able to do my live streams, I should say, and ask questions to me. If you become a super supporter, it'll be fantastic. I'd love to have you there. I hope you're wonderful. Take good care, and I will see you soon. From my home to yours, I wish you the very best.